It's another episode of This Week in Google Glass. Jeffrey Powers here and Luke Wallace is standing by. So let's get started with This Week in Google Glass. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine. Think Magazine put in the geek, you got Geekazine. And I'm joined once again with my co-host, Mr. Luke Wallace, the man with the glass. How you doing, Luke?
How you doing? Good tonight, Jeff.
And you've had a pretty cool week. You got to go bowling with your Google Glass this week. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened there?
So, yeah, we had a company party, and it was at a little local, kind of upscale bowling alley. Um, so not your typical '70s linoleum stylings, but still
No,
fun
no,
nonetheless.
no
One of
disco
the big,
music or anything like that.
no, not a lot of disco music. They do have some music going, a little more modern.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, we were just bowling, and so I was shooting some videos with glass and got a video of uh, actually, getting a strike from that first person perspective. I just kept taking videos until I finally got a strike. So, and then I just share that one with everybody. So it's like, wow, look, that guy's really good. He got a strike. It's like, yeah, well, eventually. Um, so yeah, it was kind of fun. It was neat to see how it worked in that situation, and yeah, the hands-free stuff was good.
So how many times did it take you to bowl a strike?
Ooh, let's see. I think um, maybe about four times of when I actually remembered to record. Like I think it was like the fourth time that I got a strike on there. So not too bad, but um, yeah, I didn't get a lot of strikes that night.
So does it show you like going down the lane and everything like that, holding the ball and doing the turn?
So it was real dark in there, so you can't see nearly as well. So you can kind of see some little lights along the edge of the lane, and then
Okay.
I tried to keep looking down the alley, and so you can see all the pins that are kind of lit up, and they all kind of fall down in the end. So and then I say yes or something. I don't know. I have some little jubilation that I make, but it was fun.
Well, what we should do is we'll get that video and then we'll incorporate it into the show. And
Okay,
actually, Luke, if you take any video, feel free to send it to me and I'll put it on there and we'll go from there.
absolutely.
So, all right. Well, we've got a lot of great news this week. We're going to be talking about basically the teardown that happened with Google Glass. We're going to talk about going offline with your Google Glass, and then toddlers and they're starting to use Google Glass, which I'm like, really? They're too young to have Google Glass. I don't have my Google Glass yet. They shouldn't have Google Glass. So when do I get my Google Glass? Google, what's going on? What's up with that? I'm waiting. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I don't have my Google Glass, and I've been waiting. Just so you know, I actually did a story through the If I Had Google Glass. Luke got his Google Glass because he signed up as a developer. So, and I know people have been slowly getting them, but as we talked about right before we started the show, Luke, you pointed out it's not like Google sends out updates every single week saying, no, it's really coming. Just wait, just wait.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
They just kind of send one email when they're ready.
yeah.
So
And of course, there's no email to send to them and say, hey, where's my Google Glass? And,
yeah.
I'm doing a show about Google Glass. I could really use a pair of Google Glass, but, at least I have a co host that has Google Glass. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, enough of that babbling, enough of that complaining about Google Glass. Let's get into the news for this week. Was I complaining about Google Glass?
No, you weren't complaining about glass itself.
Okay. So I could have been talking about, the pane of window to the left of me, or the one in my bedroom that has like a small crack on it, and it brings the heat in. I hate it because I got the air conditioning running. It's hot outside. And anyway, let's get into this first article. Uh, there is a
Good
group. There is a group at MIT that has ripped apart, torn apart. They just basically took the Google Glass. Here we go. Here's my faux pair of Google Glass, and they just kind of ripped it apart like that. And now it works a little bit better as Google Glass, right?
idea.
So anyway, so they ripped it apart. I think I hurt myself on that. So they ripped it apart and they got a little bit more information about what's inside Google Glass, what we could be expecting with Google Glass, And I tried to get them onto the show. They haven't responded yet. So if you know somebody that's part of that article, which is over on catwig.com, we'll have all the show notes at thisweekingoogleglass.com. But what are we looking at for specs there, Luke, for Google Glass?
Pretty basic stuff. I could see that they mentioned that the processor is a OMAP 4430, which doesn't mean much to most people, but it's the same processor that was in the old Bionic and in the Atrix 2, I believe, which are actually devices from late 2011 to early 2012. So it's not running a particularly fast hardware, but it is running pretty standard phone hardware, and that you can expect that they'll probably do something like that just to help keep the cost down on an otherwise very expensive product. So,
Yeah.
as far as storage space goes, it was pretty standard SanDisk, 16 gigabyte storage internally, which after you load all the OS and everything on it, I know mine says it has about 12 gigs free um, after launching or after getting it all started up. So um, that's plenty for pictures and video and all your notifications and everything like that. So
Yeah. So it basically says, I'm just flipping through here really quick. The touchpad is by Synaptics, which most laptops have that same type of touchpad in their systems. We've got the chips powering the glass is the TI OMAP for 4430, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and the Elpidia mobile DRAM chip, flexible PCB and RF cable anchored with some metal tabs, and a UFL connector for the earpod. So, pretty interesting stuff. We also saw a little bit of the battery, which was a single cell lithium polymer, at the basically of a capacity of 2.1, or I'm sorry, 570 milliamps, and so that's what's powering everything.
yeah, which is actually a pretty small battery compared to I know a lot of Android phones. I don't know if iOS or if Apple releases their iPhone battery size, but I know it's not uncommon to have phones with like 2,000 milliamp hour battery, maybe 2,500. Um, so I think the original G1 had like a 1,500. So you're talking
Yeah.
about something that's got this relatively small battery, less than 600 milliamp hours. So
Well, the other
I,
the other factor to that is you have to be concerned because the battery, whereas a phone, the battery is usually in your pocket. The
mm,
battery for the Google Glass is right here, right behind your ear, and if anything
mhm.
was to happen, what's the first thing that it's going to go for, basically?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, it's the concern everybody, I guess, has. I mean, there's also just the weight of, how big of a battery do you want to strap on your head?
that's true.
So they have their reasons for it, and battery technology is something that continues to improve, and so I'm sure that battery will get better and larger, be able to last longer and stuff. Even if it doesn't get physically larger, it may actually get physically smaller. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting nonetheless. Now that it's finally been torn apart, and we can see at least what this first version prototype has in it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is we talk about it all the time. This is a prototype. What Luke is wearing is a prototype. What I'll be getting is probably I wouldn't be surprised if I got something different than what Luke is wearing for my
Mhm.
Google Glass. Maybe it'll have a better battery in it. Maybe it'll have an improved visual sensor in it. Maybe it'll have a little bit more memory in it. We don't know because that Google will probably put out a few and then say, well, let's tweak a few things. Let's put this in. We saw this problem. The bone conducting speaker wasn't working right. So let's fix that. And then I've got something completely different.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, anything surprising out of this teardown?
Um, Not to me, not really. I didn't look through it, heavy. I'm not really a hardware guy, um, but I think a lot of people were complaining about the how old the processor was. They were expecting it to be, some brand new, um, processor. Same thing that you saw in the Nexus 4
Yeah.
or Nexus 7 or something. But yeah, people have to realize that this is a much smaller form factor, and so they're probably going to go with an older chip that's easier to shrink down and or that's been proven stable at those kind of sizes. So
Well, you have
yeah,
you have
nothing real surprising.
you have two things when it comes to the processor. One is the instruction set that you need to put with the processor, and two is what the processor needs to do in the day. And in all reality, a pair of Google Glass is not expecting to play Halo 4. A pair of Google Glass is not expecting to work through spreadsheets and stuff like that. It's just gonna it's the basic crux of it is it's gonna take pictures and video and then tell you which street to turn onto, and that's pretty much it. So if it gets more complex and we start playing video games through it and need emotion engines or things like that to match it to what the Xbox One's going to be or the PS4 is going to be, then they'll start to worry about better processors.
Yeah, absolutely. And over time, it'll be like every other piece of technology where it'll get faster, smaller, cheaper. Um, and so, yeah, it's pretty good for V1 in my opinion.
Okay. Well, the you can check everything out. It's over on catwig.com. They tore it apart for science, and of course they say they're being backed by the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, to say that this is all open source and we have a right to know what's inside of our hardware. So you can check that out over at catwig.com. Well, once again, we'll have the link in the show notes. So. All right, let's move on from there. We're going over to The Verge and a pretty interesting article about using Google Glass on a hiking trip. The guy was completely offline. Was that the case there, Luke?
Yeah, he was basically just talking about hiking up a mountain where he doesn't have cell phone coverage because, a remote park, I think. Um, and so he was just talking about what you can do and what, obviously you can't do. So anything like a Google search or pulling up a map or anything on glass isn't going to happen. But he was just talking about how it was useful to have the picture and video recording capabilities, which are completely usable offline.
Yeah,
You just can't share any of those pictures till you get back on the connection. So
yeah. And there was also he was also trying to Twitter though, right?
I think he tried and wasn't able to.
Okay. I wonder how far up a mountain you'd have to really go before any type of signal is lost. I suppose it really depends on the mountain and where you are. I know we
Yeah.
last year we were in a valley in I think it was Oregon, Portland, Oregon, and it was like the phone just completely gone, all the signal completely gone, and once we drove out of that little valley area, it just went right back in. So. I'm guessing, yeah, I suppose it really depends on where you are in the day, where the satellites are pointed, and what carrier you have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Just kind of your standard cell phone issues that you have.
yeah, exactly. So, but interesting article. Any good takeaways out of this besides the fact that you can go offline and still stay online?
Yeah, I just think that it's showing that it's useful just for being able to take pictures and video, uh, regardless of whether you're going to be sharing those immediately. It's nice for documenting what you're doing, in a very convenient way.
Now with glass, you can hook up the glass to the computer and pull the pictures from there, right?
I believe so. I don't know if I've ever actually tried that, honestly.
Okay.
Like just because uh, getting it on the Wi-Fi is really easy through your My Glass app on your Android device. You can do it through the web as well, through like a laptop or a desktop computer.
Or a tether.
But then
Yeah.
once it's on the Wi-Fi, you just plug it into its power source, and then it syncs everything up to your private Google Plus account, into your photos section, and so that's how I've literally done all the syncing to it. And if you one thing that they don't talk about, little quick tip is if you share something, so if you share a picture or a video, um, I guess it reroutes it because it's using the Glass servers.
Okay.
It routes it through there, and like the Glass software actually kind of reroutes it and puts a copy in your Google Plus private photo area, immediately. So you
Okay.
don't even have to wait till you like hook it back up to the Wi-Fi. So you can kind of share it on Twitter, and you'll go see it on your Google Plus
Oh,
photos immediately.
yeah, just like with your phone, when you take a picture and then you go straight into Google Plus, it'll instantly upload those unless you've turned off that option. So
Yeah, so it all depends on your options on if you want that on mobile or just on Wi-Fi or just when you're plugged in on Wi-Fi. It's all same kind of stuff. With Glass, you don't have quite as many options on when it
all right.
does it, but you can
Well,
kind of trigger it.
there's your task for this next week is to see if you can actually download pictures offline as
Yeah,
opposed to hooking up to Google Drive and getting them that way. So that'd be
yeah.
interesting to find out. Of course, if anybody has that answer, you can feel free to email me, email Luke. We've got Jeff at twig.tv, TWIGG. Remember, two G's at the end. And of course, Luke at twig.tv. You can email us there if you have any suggestions or story ideas. If you have a pair of Google Glass and you want to show off your pair of Google Glass and come on the show, let me know and we'll go from there. Once again, Jeff at twig.tv or Luke at twig.tv. All right, last article of today, and I don't have my Google Glass yet, and I don't get how kids can have Google Glass just yet. And I know that the kid doesn't have Google Glass; his parents have Google Glass. So, and this article is over on Wired, and he's talking about how he gave his kid his pair of Google Glass to try out, and he had some pretty interesting results. What did you catch from this article here, Luke?
Basically, he was saying that uh, he gave it to his toddler, and his toddler was able to take much better pictures because his pictures with the smartphone were horrible. But the ones that I don't know if the toddler is a boy or a girl. I don't know if it said, um, but you could basically take pictures by hitting a little camera button on the side, and so there were the pictures were a lot better because at least then the kid had to be looking at what they wanted to take a picture of, and so if you look at what you want and then press the button, you get a picture of that, and so in that way it's a lot more intuitive than a smartphone where you can hold it, you can be holding it up in front of you and not get a picture of what's in front of you because you've got it tilted or turned around or it's not using the right camera or something like that. So what about you?
Well, I'm just reloading this. I guess it kind of the Chrome kind of crashed on me here, so I was trying to bring it back up. But basically, yeah, it was more of the eyes of a toddler using Google Glass, and I kind of like that idea, and how he used it and how he got around, how he, because in all reality, that kid is going to grow up with Google Glass and every other iteration of Google Glass from here on end, which, if we follow the progression of technology, will turn into a contact lens that you put in your eye, and then you have augmented reality that way. So it's interesting to see how he starts with that. And I know there's kids out there that, some kids love technology, embracing technology, and then there's other kids that just want to go out and, chop wood and build fires and not deal at all with technology. Don't want a smartphone, definitely don't want a pair of Google Glass, and they just have to have a computer because they need it for certain things. So it was pretty interesting and definitely started making me think of what's going to happen 20 years from now when, because Larry Page said last week, it's just going to be there, and everybody's going to be okay with it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the 15, 20 year mark. And it'd be interesting to see how that works.
Oh yeah.
So, any other thoughts on that?
No, I think it's good. I think people should go read that article and see that. And I think we've got all this stuff linked in the show notes at twig.tv. That's TWIGG. This week in Google Glass acronym .tv. It's a great way to read all this stuff for yourself and kind of keep up on the news. And yeah, if you guys see anything that you think is interesting and maybe we've missed, just email either me or Jeff, Luke at twig.tv or Jeff at twig.tv, and send us over any of those news stories that you'd like us to cover and either get our opinions or if you want to share your opinions on any of the stories that we've been talking about, that's a great way to contact us.
All right, there you go. And of course, I couldn't have said it any better. So, of course, if you want to be a part of the show, let us know. If any questions or anything like that, just simply let us know. Little programming note: I am going to be in Detroit, Michigan next week, driving Ford vehicles around. So we will not have an episode for next week, but we will be back in 2 weeks, where we'll have some more Google Glass information, stories, and news articles that we'll talk about. And Luke will improve on his bowling scores as he creates the perfect strike, and maybe we'll go do some archery, or maybe do some shooting or something like that. What do you think on that, Luke?
Yeah, I think once they add laser guidance to this glass thing, I think it'll really take off. And you can get a little laser pointed out, and it can be augmenting everything and telling you exactly where to, how to twist your arm, and where to point the bow and arrow. I think they'll really have something on their hands here.
Well, if you've got a 3D printer or something like that, you could make a little clasp on where you could get one of those little laser pointers and put it right next to the glass so it doesn't interfere with the touch controls. And then
I've definitely thought about it.
Well, there you go. There's your challenge for the next time we talk.
Yeah.
So, not gonna do it, are you?
I don't have a 3D printer, so if somebody wants to send me one, I think that would just be a great way. So or if they want to sponsor the show and send us some 3D printers,
if anything, that if somebody's figured out a design, make a 3D print, send it to us, and then we'll have Luke. You can go out and get one of those little laser pointers, and attach it to it, and then we'll have the first laser pointer Google Glass.
Yeah, I think the laser printer Google Glass is an interesting concept.
Yeah, that would be a little
printer hanging off the side of your head.
Yeah, a little top heavy, especially if
maybe it's like a hat. You wear kind of like a hat.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah.
So
We'll have to try this out.
Tomorrow when you get to work, just take a printer and just put it on top of your head and tell us how it works.
Yeah.
So,
I'll call you from the hospital.
All right. Well, have fun on that. So, anyway, that does it for this week in Google Glass. My name is Jeffrey Powers. Once again, you can get a hold of me, Jeff at twig.tv, or Geekazine's my Twitter handle, and Luke
at twig.tv, or Luke Luca on Twitter.
And everything is found at twig.tv or thisweekingoogleglass.com. Go there and sign up, contact us, and subscribe to the show. We will be back in 2 weeks with more news and stories and everything like that. And This Week in Google Glass, you guys geek out and take care.